It's time for Did You Watch It?
How does this show work? We watch what we like, we talk about what we watched, and maybe you'll like what you hear. I'm Liz.
I'm Isabel. Last night we watched episode 4 of The Bachelorette Season 10. The show aired on Monday, June 2nd, 2014. Here's what we thought about it.
This was a full episode. Lots to talk about.
No kidding. As I was watching it, I thought, Liz, I got to talk to you about this.
Right?
I've got to talk to you about that.
Right? Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay, so where should we start?
Where did they end up this time? They moved the location. They're now in, New England? Specifically Connecticut?
Connecticut, yes. The scenery was amazing.
I agree. I like the suite that the men had.
Yeah, totally.
Nice and plush.
Right? They were so funny when they go running in and you could just see them jumping on the bed or whatever.
There's about 6 or 7 of them that just kind of jumped in that jacuzzi tub thing and pretended to toast and have a drink. I thought, oh my God, what dorks.
It looked like Dylan was really excited for the date, and I thought to myself, the first thing I thought was, oh, please let it be him, and thank goodness it was.
Yes, because wasn't he just talking the previous night's episode where he wanted to tell Andi about his story and that whole bit?
Yeah, when they read his name, I was just super excited.
So after he left to go get ready for his date, then we have smarmy Andrew going on about, Dylan will probably get the rose tonight, but he has to step out of it. I don't know. He seems to think that he's an expert on this whole thing, which I figured he's kind of doing his armchair psychological assessment. And I know he's not a psychologist, or I doubt he took much psychology in college. But I thought, dude, just shut up.
Andrew, I'm so over you. I'm ready for you to go home.
Right? Did you see Josh's face as Andrew's doing his, assessment here of what he thinks is going to happen on the date? Josh is certainly not amused.
No, well, because Josh wanted it too.
Well, that's true.
I think any time now that, the one-on-one date goes to somebody else, it's going to be really hard for the guys. They had more conversation with her, more one-on-one time, and I feel like they're getting to know her, and a lot of them are really liking her.
That is true. They're in this environment where they really don't talk to anyone else but each other and Andi.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, it's creating this bubble, basically.
The Bachelorette bubble.
So what did you think of Andi and Dylan's one-on-one date? I mean, it was nice to see them together.
Yes, it was. I thought the steam train was really cool. I thought the scenery was beautiful. The dinner date conversation, gosh, it was so hard. And I really felt for him, and I could see the emotion in her face as well. You know what I mean? It was really hard to cover it up. And then later when she was talking about, looking back on the date and giving her own little commentary of what happened, she was just saying, I was just trying to hold it together. And you could totally see that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just so glad he's through that season of life, and I'm hoping that this will be kind of a new beginning for him with some happy stuff. You know what I mean?
I would hope so. I didn't realize the backstory, the in and out of drug rehab with the brother and everything. So it's been a long haul. Yeah. It wasn't just some sudden accident or sudden illness or anything.
No.
But do you think he's ready to show up for The Bachelor? Because just a few months ago, right? I mean, it's not even a year that's passed since his brother passed away.
No. And then to have his brother and then his sister too, I just, when he was describing his mom's brokenness, oh my gosh. I was just dying.
Poor guy. But like you said, I hope he finds some happiness.
So the group date was next, and this was really cool. They got to show some mad skills on the basketball court.
They sure did.
Brian was totally in his element. I loved that he got to shine in this kind of challenge.
No, certainly.
Because I feel like some of the other guys have kind of overshadowed him in the past, and he has felt not as maybe confident as them.
He certainly has that more shy guy quality
so
about him.
So this was really great to see him shine, and I loved it.
I liked it too. It was kind of fun to see, obviously, the competition against the WNBA players that came out.
Yes.
I try to keep track of the names, but Nika from the Sparks, she said this game was just a little warm-up or something.
Yeah, right?
I was laughing. They handily beat them, without breaking a sweat, it seems.
Yeah. No, they were awesome.
Oh, no, they're fantastic. And one of them had mentioned something, making some sort of comment about their game off court. She hopes it's better than what they're doing on court.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
I thought that was kind of cute. Exactly. But they were super competitive.
And the minute they had to play, once they were split up into the teams,
Yes.
that's when that competitiveness really came out.
Yes, totally.
The women professional players watching and kind of commenting to Andi, like, well, look at that one. Look at that one.
Yeah.
He's super competitive. That
Right.
was it. So.
Yeah, they were going full force, let me tell you.
Well, when they had the choice of either continuing the date with Andi or going back to the hotel suite, basically.
Exactly. That's some
Those
motivation.
are some big stakes.
For sure.
I just hate this type of shoe at the beginning of this group date where she's running around in her sneakers, but they're really high-heeled sneakers.
Oh, yeah. You didn't like those?
I don't like them at all. I think they're stupid. So she's running around. I'm thinking, what if she falls down?
I know. Here I am thinking, oh my gosh, those are so cute. I just thought they were cute. I'm like, sign me up. We're going to get a pair of those.
It was kind of sad to see the boys go, feel dejected, the ones that lost, right? They all had to go back to the hotel room. They all kind of moped about.
They were so sad. And Josh was like devastated. You really got to see kind of his athletic, competitive nature.
Oh, absolutely. He's extremely competitive.
Oh my gosh. Just hating to lose. So that was not pretty.
No, I think that's something to kind of look out for.
Yeah.
If he's a bit of a sore loser.
Yeah. Kind of intense.
But I did like how the other team was just jumping around, hollering and screaming. And,
oh my gosh. And what is it with the champagne in the locker room?
Well, they're celebrating their win, right? At least they didn't dump a cooler over someone's head.
What is it about that?
It's a celebration. That's the best I can come up with.
It's just the whole sports thing that I don't get. So what did you think of Brian after they won and just kind of his whole thing with Andi?
Oh, he's totally into her. Although he had that chance to get a kiss and he just went in for the hug.
Explain it to me. Why would you not kiss her in that moment? It was just so perfect.
He kind of set it up too, because remember when he said I could do a half-court shot and she goes, okay, go for it. And he said, like, well, what's in it for me?
Exactly, which is smart on his part. He knew he would make it.
Absolutely. He just didn't follow through. So I think it was a combination of nerves, obviously.
And being shy around her, because I think he really, really likes her.
And you could see the look on her face. As soon as he went in for the hug, she was like, wait.
Yeah. Wah, wah. Really?
But he did make up for it later on during the little cocktail hour deal later in the evening. So.
I loved that. I loved that he just took control of that moment and just... Yeah, it was awesome.
It was dimly lit. It was a little bit more romantic.
Of course, and he kind of stole her away.
Yeah,
so I love that.
Definitely.
Thought it was perfect that he ended up getting the rose.
Now, I was a little surprised by Andi and Eric's discussion. This is during the group date, not at the end, but at the group date.
It was tense for a minute, and you could tell, you know, when you're listening to somebody's conversation and you know that they're having a miscommunication, and you're like, I know what he's trying to say. I know what she's trying to say. And, I just felt like I was caught in the middle, right? Because I could see he wasn't coming across the way he wanted to. And I could see that she was kind of getting a little bit tiffed about it.
You know, they went to have a discussion and she says something about like how the relationship is stalled or I don't know, whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, I think he approached it. He goes, you know, he's doing all right, but he wished things were just a little bit different. Like everything is always so formal and the way they're sitting and the way they're dressed. And, you know, he kind of brought it up like this isn't really me.
And as we've gotten to know Eric, we know that that's not him. You know, he was just an adventurer and you know, lived life on the edge. And I can see him being so uncomfortable in suits all the time.
I guess I didn't understand where Andi was coming from when she said, well, you haven't really told me about your family or something along those lines. And I thought, well, I clearly remember that he talked about his brothers and he had all these nieces and nephews and he wants to start a family. He did talk about his family on that first date. So it seems as if she's forgotten that conversation.
I didn't pick up on that.
But I like that he opened up, but I don't think Andi was doing the same thing for him.
No, it was awkward to watch, and I just thought, oh gosh, I hope they get it straightened out. So Nick and Andi were really gelling during their one-on-one time.
They were really all over each other, weren't they?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Did you expect that? It just kind of surprised me.
It did, because after their conversation where he was going on about, that he was skeptical of the whole
process.
process.
And then cut to them, like, being super intimate with each other. And yeah.
It was strange after her kind of tense conversation with Eric.
Yeah.
And then here she is with Nick and giggling like a schoolgirl.
She was.
She was, wasn't she?
For sure. Yes.
I'm still not seeing that connection between them. I'm not sure what it is.
I'm not a fan. So the next one-on-one date was with Marcus.
I need more. I want more.
I know, but I liked this date because they totally faced their fears together. They went to the top of this building, which I think was the hotel they were staying in, and were basically rappelling off the side of the building in super high winds. I could feel her fear. It was palpable. I just like the way that Marcus helped her focus. You know what I mean?
The way he talked her down off the ledge. Ha, ha, ha. Pun intended. Sorry.
Pun intended. Yeah, he was totally great. And, having her focus on him and not looking down. And I think he really had a calming effect on her, which I thought was cool. And so I think they really bonded over that experience.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I like how they passed right in front of the guys.
Right.
Like, hey.
And they were like rapping on the window. I'm thinking, guys, don't. I would just be dying.
I will say, I don't understand Andi's thing about needing to feel protected and wanting Marcus to step up.
You don't? No, I totally get that.
I understand the being protected, but I don't know why she would expect Marcus to do that. And only him.
It's kind of because she's only, like you were saying, in your cute little whiny voice, that,
I want more.
I need more, right? So I think she, too, is just kind of seeing that side of him and wants to know, can he step it up when push comes to shove, and can she feel safe with him?
Okay, fair enough.
So, yeah, I like the fact that he kind of stepped up to the plate and really showed her that side of him. Even though he was terrified, admittedly himself, he just went for it and just focused on her, which I thought was great.
Okay, well, that makes sense. But I'm still going to think he's needy. Well, I had to cringe again because they went to go see some, I don't even know who this country singer was, but, just them on this raised platform. It's, cringe. Why couldn't they just go to a VIP box?
But they always do that. They always do the thing where they're kind of like the center of attention amidst a crowd. Yeah. That's kind of a tradition, if you want to call it that.
Let's embarrass everyone. But, it looks like they had fun.
Yes.
And of course they kissed a lot and
totally. Yeah, it was kind of steamy.
It was, and I don't know that everyone wanted to see that.
So what did you think about the letter from the secret admirer?
I thought it was very sweet.
I thought it was too. And who do you think it is?
Well, they kind of have this blurred, shadowed out figure. Obviously one of the guys writing the letter. But just based on the haircut, I was thinking, and I was kind of looking at the arms, I'm like, well, it could be Josh.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he would write something like that.
Yeah. I thought it could have been Tassos, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I thought it could have been Tassos or...
Possibly. He does have... I was thinking maybe Chris, too.
Yeah. Although Chris has a bigger build than kind of the figure that they were showing.
See, that's the thing. I wonder if they were trying to throw us off. They put in someone that we don't know.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time.
No, it certainly would not. And then I also thought perhaps it was Marcus because, I want more, I need more. I could be wrong, though.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's just too funny.
All right, well, I guess we need to start talking about this cocktail party.
Yeah, so now we get to kind of the awkward part. She ends up having kind of an extension of the conversation that she had earlier with Eric.
Yes.
Only it got a little heated. And from seeing Andi last season and just seeing how she responded to Juan Pablo and what she didn't like that happened on that date, and she kind of really expressed her opinion, I could just see her face changing the more that he went on. And then when he said, I came out here to get to know the real girl and not the TV actress, I felt like that was her breaking point.
Yeah, obviously it's just like, like this click, and all of a sudden she went into this other thing.
Yeah, she was not having it.
No, I understand where Eric was coming from, simply because, she's going on and on about how she wants him to open up, but she hasn't been doing the same. So that's why he was saying, I see these glimpses. He probably could have used some better words, some better terms, not necessarily TV actress.
Knowing Andi as we do, and from last season, she voices her opinion and she'll just react and she doesn't hold back. And part of that I like, and part of that in this particular situation was hard because it was Eric.
Yeah, it was. I liked how he approached it, though. Basically, I've been thinking about what our conversation, and he feels that he's been open. He doesn't understand her comment, basically.
Yeah.
And where she was coming from, and perhaps it was a miscommunication, that kind of thing. So, I'll go ahead and say it. I think he kind of calls her out.
He did, and she didn't like it.
Yeah, I think he did it in a kind way. He was very neutral with his tone. He wasn't yelling at her. And I think he was trying to provide some examples in terms of, I understand the situation that we're in with the cameras. But he goes, but it seems as if. But then she just shut him down.
Yeah.
So I think she overreacted.
Well,
a lot.
But it's not overreacted if you know Andi from last season.
Okay.
This is just kind of the same as her little talk she had with Juan Pablo. She just got more upset, and then she just kind of unleashed this little thing, which is the same thing that she did with Eric in this moment in the show. So I think it was unfortunate, especially given the circumstances.
Well, it seems, too, that she seemed to be twisting some of his words.
Yeah.
That's my impression, because I think he said something about, he feels that she's putting on a poker face kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he understood the fact, having to be diplomatic and, just the nature of the environment that they're in, basically.
Yeah, so we don't know if it was editing. We don't know how the conversation really went down.
I don't know that they edited much, though. There didn't seem to be any kind of weird cuts. And it seems to me, until we hear otherwise, I guess, that they have shown the entire conversation from start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I do appreciate Eric's honesty, and I think she said so, too. But I think she was misunderstanding or not.
Totally.
Yeah, she was misunderstanding what he said, because at some point he would say, this poker face, she said, you keep saying I'm false.
Yeah, she honed in on that one thing, and then that's all she could focus on.
I think he said something along the lines like, I've seen you smile, and then when the cameras are here, there's like a different side. And then that's when she starts with, you're calling me fake. And I thought, well, I don't think he ever called her fake. She's presuming that that's what he said. And she's taken it to be that way. I felt bad for Eric because he was just trying to explain what he was feeling and what he thought. And I really don't think she's been open with him.
Eric's departure speech was so poignant. It really ripped my heart out, but I'm glad he had a chance to express himself that way. And I'm also glad that they decided not to do the rose ceremony in light of what happened.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good way of handling it, and just having the one-on-one between Andi and Chris Harrison, just talking about, the last conversation with Eric.
Yeah. Here's my thing where I think she's starting to rub me a little the wrong way with regards to some of the questions that Chris Harrison asked her. She keeps saying that they both weren't open with each other, but he was open. So I think the fault more lies with her, but that's okay.
But again, that's totally Andi, you know what I mean? Being called out on
that's
something
true.
And wanting to defend
that's
herself.
True. Hopefully she could have taken this as constructive criticism and realized, wow, if I want to be able to get closer to someone, I need to be able to open up.
Exactly.
It's not a one-way street where someone shares the whole life with you and is vulnerable with you and you can't do the same to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There was a question that Chris Harrison asked her about something about the last conversation.
Yes. Well, he kind of asked her if she had any regrets, if she would have handled anything any differently. And, when posed with that kind of a question, really, how are you going to answer that and save any kind of face?
It's one of those things where you can just say, if I could go back and change it, this is what I would have said instead. Or maybe I could have done this instead of how I reacted. She didn't really say anything like that. I don't remember her answer, but it was just, well, this world and blah, 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 blah. And she just kind of circled and circled and circled.
Would I have wanted to have that as a last conversation with somebody? No.
Exactly. And it could have been a much more simpler answer than whatever she said, but she never really answered the question.
Yeah.
She kind of made it about her in that sense.
But that's our Andi! That's who she is!
Now I get Neil's point with regards to, I wasn't a fan of hers.
Yeah. And I wasn't either. I really wasn't. I'm watching it because I want to see how it turns out, and I love the show. But I'm not a huge Andi fan. I hate to say it, but I'm just not.
Okay.
And I just thought it was unfortunate.
You know, and it's sad that she didn't get a chance to kind of maybe clear the air with him at some point. After the interview between Chris Harrison and Andi, they told us that after Eric left, the cocktail party, I think, kind of resumed.
They did. They did a rose ceremony, but they didn't want to show it, just out of respect for Eric, which I totally get. But they said that Tassos left, which surprised me. So, well, maybe we'll get to see next week kind of a little bit of why that happened.
Yeah, at the beginning of the rose ceremony, Tassos and Andi did speak a little bit, and she said that she wanted to see a different side of him. I didn't really totally get the conversation because, again, we don't really see what's happened between them.
Yeah. Well, they were talking about him doing all these really special things for her and kind of creating these moments that were just unique for the two of them, whether it's during one-on-one time or whatever.
Oh, I see.
And so they were saying, you know, he's done all of these things that have been really cool, but this time he just really wanted to talk to her, you know? So I think that's what ended up happening. And wow, I mean, if he didn't get a rose, then I'm assuming she didn't respond very well to that. So,
well, you know, maybe she didn't see that it was enough to continue forward compared to her interactions with the other guys.
Yeah, could be.
At least we know they're going to be in France. They're going to Marseille.
Oh, nice. Marseille is beautiful. Very opulent.
Is it?
Yes, gorgeous.
And looks like Cody and Nick are going to have some sort of confrontation of some sort, and Markel and Andrew. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
Well, I think tensions are just getting higher.
Very true, and it's always at this part of the season where the group gets smaller and smaller.
It's around 10, you know, 10, 8, 6, whatever, and yeah, so we'll see how it turns out. That's our time for today. You can follow us on Twitter at @DidTheLetterU.Watch It. You can also find us at iTunes. Let us know what you think. Thank you for listening.